I've been thinking recently how I think it's human nature that when you share a passion, when you share an interest, that this creates bonds and this creates gathering points. For example, people who are interested in sports cars often go to different car shows and they build their cars and they go to different places where they can display their cars and show them to each other, or people who like model airplanes often gather together and fly their planes and show each other the different modifications that they've made. And people who love music often get together, especially in the old times. People would come together. Everybody would bring their records, and they would all gather together and listen together. And when I was thinking about this, it really got me wondering about church. You know, it seems like our passions bring us together for the things that we love. And yet, what do you hear in church all the time? And it doesn't matter what the denomination is or anything like that, but we always hear that the churches are having small groups. The churches are encouraging people to gather together. The churches are encouraging people to participate in activities outside of the Sunday service. And many churches have an active program to encourage and to lead people to gather. And when you think about it, it's really crazy, because what can we have more passion for than God? And yet these things like cars or models or music or these other things easily bring us together into groups naturally. There's no program to tell you to gather with other model airplane enthusiasts. There's no program, or there's no guidance on how to gather together and look and show off your cars. And yet we have to have these things for church, for Christianity. I think that this goes to show us the state of the Christian. I think when we have no real passion about something, that is when we have to be forced into small groups. That's when we have to be forced into coming together. And when you're forced into it, when there's programs and there's set dates and activities all planned for you, this is not a natural occurrence. And so it's never going to be as enjoyable as when these things happen naturally and are a result of our true passions. So I think it's just something to consider. You hear it all the time at churches. We need to gather together outside of the Sunday service. You know, church doesn't end on Sunday. You hear that all of the time in churches all over the world. And yet you don't have to have these messages and these programs in order to gather in your normal life, in your normal passions. This again demonstrates the separation that we feel, that church creates. Church creates a separation between God and you. What God does and what God wants is on Sunday in the service. And what you want and what you do is from Monday to Saturday. There's a separation. And that is our goal, to tear down that separation. And I don't think we can do this under the structure of church. You can't change church to make it something natural, because it's not a natural thing. We want to go back to just natural relationships, natural meetings, natural communications that we do in our everyday life, elevating those to the same level as a Sunday church service. If we can do that, if we can put the church service off to the side, we might come back to that later, but just put it off to the side and let's go forward with a new mindset. No more this day and that day, no more God and me, no more separation. It's every moment of every day. And if we can get this separation out of our minds, if we can get this church mentality out of our minds, let's see what happens. We've tried church, and look where it's gotten us. Look at our world. It's a disaster. Look at the state of the Christian life. It's a disaster overall. So we've tried it. Let's try something new. Let's see if it works. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm not saying that this is for sure going to work 100%, but I think that people should try it, and let's see if the effect is better, or if it's the same, or if we need to think of a different approach. That's the key. We need to try new things and see what works and go with what works, instead of trying to reshape and remold and add to and take away from a system that has not done well for us overall. Look at the abortion rate and the drugs and the alcohol and the pornography and the fornication, all happening at the exact same level within the church as it does outside the church. That is not progress. That is not Christ. And so we need to try something different. So I encourage you to just put church to the side for now and try to refocus, saying that every moment of my life is for God. Every conversation I have, every communication I have, every meeting I have is the assembling of the believers. It's of the same, if not more importance than any kind of a service on Sunday. If we can do that, if we can live our lives like that, I think we will see a huge difference. Let's find out.